What's up, Juventini? Welcome back to the AJC, your channel dedicated to Juventus. It's match day. We got Roma and Juventus today. A big one. Is Tudor and Juventus ready? Are we ready for this challenge in this battle? Tudor, after the last victory, said, now the serious work begins. And we've got a ton in the news around the team in the build-up to this game. We're going to have a lot of fun. I've got Lex and Paolo with me. Lex, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you? Good
Dude.
morning.
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm ready to rock. And for Alex Juve out there, had to keep it going with the kit that's got 2 wins, under its belt in consecutive times out. So we got to do that. And then Paolo, how you doing, brother?
Good morning, B. Good morning, Lex. I'm feeling pretty good.
Nice.
And that's just the first words that came out of my mouth. I actually am nervous that today's going to be a mess.
Oh, all right. Well, we're going to get to today's game and see how everybody's feeling. Some nerves, some ready to rock, some excited about it. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. Everybody that's in the chat right now, what's up? All you Shatterstar, Vincenzo G, Adam Khan, Tremmy's in there, Swadit, Foot Facts, you guys, great to see you all again. Drop a like. We've got a lot going on. Matteo Camiso coming in here. What's happening, guys? Feeling a good game today. Well, let's not hope it's not just a good one for the neutrals, okay? And let's hope it's a good one for us Juventini, okay? So let's get into it. Now, let's get rocking. We got a lot in the news. A lot in the rumor mill, a lot actually outside of mainstream media too with some news, but some interesting calls and decisions made by Elkan. We saw one with Scandavino, not to be mistaken for Scangavino, which has been named by the army out there, all right? But we're going to kick things off the rumor mill as we were named top 4 strikers on the target list for Juventus. And it was Osimhen, it was David, it was Lookman, and it was Retegui. But in terms of Jonathan David, we got some interesting news over the past couple days. And that is that, it started with a 9 million gross report of his salary. All right. Some outlets were saying 9 mil gross, 10 million agent fees, and then 15 for signing bonus in terms of his demands. And then the way many of these outfits posted it was 9 million gross, which is going to be the breaking point for Juventus. 9 million gross is not the breaking point for Juventus. 9 million gross salary would be right where we want to be. So I stuck with the ones that didn't claim gross and figured that it would be 9 million net, which would make the most sense. When have you seen a player sign? Sometimes we got to use this thing up here, everybody, when these rumors come out and they're making reports and everything. The cross-up was they were trying to basically shed a light on where Juve wants to be because they want to have him for 4.5 million net. So the interesting report that came out is you have a cross-up between Alfredo Pedula and Mirko Di Natale. Because Mirko Di Natale claims the demands are too high. It doesn't seem like he is coming. Alfredo Pedula went as far to say that Juve is his preferred destination. And Juve has told him flat out, we aren't going to meet your demands, but we'll get you somewhere close and a small signing bonus. So the rumor is 4.5 million net and then maybe somewhere close to that 15 mil in signing bonus, but not that high. His agent still wants 10 million. So we got to go off here. Out of those 4, is Jonathan David your top pick? And we'll start this one with Lex. Would it be your top pick?
Out of Lookman.
Osimhen, Retegui, Lookman, and then Jonathan David.
Ooh. Man, that's a tough one. I feel like his demands, I can see them being high. I know you're explaining the difference there in his demands. Also, the fact that he's always been like angling towards going to Barcelona. So I feel like, I don't know, is he trying to make this a stepping stone move? Is this not his true like club he wants to end up at? I feel like those were my concerns, but he is a great striker. So I think him and Retegui would definitely be the top for me out of that list. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see what happens. You need a
RB's got
striker.
Osimhen. Matteo Camisa's got David is absolutely the top pick. Elder without any doubt. Osimhen. We got Retegi. Paulo, where does David rank out of those four for you?
He's not up there. I went to see him play in Dallas. No, it was Houston. Him play Venezuela when he was with Canada for the CONCACAF. I mean the Conca. Blah, it's the morning. Yeah, I went and saw him play. He looked pretty good. I don't think he's a lead striker. I don't think he's a star striker for me. I don't think he's a Juve star striker. I think he's too expensive. I think he's unproven outside of his comfort zone where he's done well, and I'll give him that. I'm a fan of his, but I wouldn't want him as his first striker. I don't think he's a replacement for Koopmeiners or Dusan. So no, I don't think he's the right guy, and I'm adverse to us picking out coaches and players that maybe are the best we can do. I think we have to try and keep the bar high and find the best possible available, not just the best for what we can find. So I think Retegi is interesting because he's played in Serie A. He's strong. He's got the size, the height. But Osimhen is probably overall the most technically talented striker, I think, available of those four. But he comes with a bunch of headaches as well. But
here's my thing. If I'm looking at all four of these guys, like, okay, Osimhen's the top, I'd say, as far as all around. Like, he would be the top pick. However, he takes a serious deduction with the baggage and his price and the fact you'll lose him to AFCON for a bunch. Like, he loses points for me there. Lookman, I like Lookman, but I'm serious when I don't want to deal with Atalanta much anymore for a while, at least not this summer. Retegi is intriguing to me, but higher than Jonathan David is, I don't know. I don't want to take too much of a hit on Jonathan David, who's got crazy numbers. Yes, we might not rank that league as high, but remember, he's got serious Champions League numbers behind him too with that same club. Yeah, for Koopmeiners and Vlahovic, Koopmeiners, the devil's always in the details. Where do his numbers stand versus this guy? What do we see with him this season? I would put David ahead of the performances that we've seen out of both our guys here, but how much of it is what we're doing and how much of it is them? Vlahovic definitely has been hard done by, but not to the extent that some make it out to be. A goodbye should be coming there. So it's a tough spot to be in. It sounds like it's going to be one of these four that we're really actively chasing, and then Lorenzo Luca in the background as like this supplement, let's call it, which I'm okay with. But I'd be happy if you could swing away where you can maybe get Retegi and Jonathan David. Like, if you can get a 1-2 punch like that out of these four guys, especially that Jonathan David is on a free, that's going to cost you a lot in terms of bonuses and whatnot. The bonuses you can work out. You can always structure them differently, but I don't know. It's a tough spot to be in. We got to remember we got a lot of other work to do on the roster too. So dumping it all on a guy like Osimhen, even if he's a lot of our top picks, I don't know if that's the play. And I'm not ready to watch us try and deal with De Laurentiis, especially if we're going to try and steal his coach. Oh, yeah, and we might as well get into some coach talk as Fabiana Della Valle decides she wants to jump into the world of Monblano. 40% Antonio Conte to be next season's coach. 30% Igor Tudor. And then Pioli, Mancini, and Gasperini at 10% to be Juve's next coach. So it's interesting to see mainstream media, anyone from mainstream media, jump in kind of like to that extent, because in the kind of, I'm starting to call it the underground world of rumors or whatever, but like rumblings in Italy are a lot different, and there's been a lot of smoke around Antonio Conte and a return. Like a lot. There are some rumblings that it is going to go down. He is going to be the coach next season. They're talking about clauses in his contract that it doesn't matter that he's there to 2027 because there is a clause in there that allows him to leave as he wishes. There's a lot to this thing. I just got to ask the question. Conte, yes or no next season? Paolo.
I'd like to see some other choices. I like Conte, and I'd be happy to have him back if that's where it goes. But I'd like to see something new, and he's going to want to turn that roster inside out. And here we go again. So I like Conte, but there's got to be some other options out there before we go back to the well.
Yeah. Lex, want him back?
For me, it depends, honestly, like what the other options are, like who becomes available, who's realistically available in the summer. Because I feel like that's what I've been struggling with whenever I ask myself this question, do I want Conte back? I'm always like, well, if not him, then who?
Yeah.
Right? And I find myself struggling to come up with a decent answer. So I feel like that's why I've, warmed up a little bit towards the idea, I suppose, because I mean, certainly, especially as a baseline year and in his first year, you can see the instant impact that he has at the clubs he goes to, and he's done so historically. And I feel like setting that solid foundation, it's not a bad idea. So I just think like maybe on the short term, like a year or two, I don't see him continuing past that, but I feel like he's always been angling for a return since Agnelli and Nedved left. I feel like he's just wanted to come back. So I can definitely see it happening. I can see him leaving Napoli this summer, but that's my thoughts on it. It's tough.
I know that every time it comes up, there's a mixed bag of emotions from a lot of the fans because it's like, well, he did this, he did that, etc. And like, I'm at the point where I stand firm, everybody, on everything I've said, and I've remained consistent for, a month and a half now. If we're making any changes, I want the best guy available, period, for where we are. All the rest, all these feelings, all these emotions, all this nonsense, it has to fall to the wayside because then you've almost got the club as this kind of puppet or something just hanging in the balance or whatnot, when really the club needs to be at the forefront. And if that guy is available for where we are right now, Champions League, all this stuff, it's all nonsense. There is nobody out there that has a bigger instant stimulus that can literally be the perfect guy for a build, whereas currently where we are at. The reality of the fact is we are at a building point. If it's a year and a half, if it's 2 years, you do it because nobody out there will build it as quickly and as solid as this guy will do it. And it's proven time and time again. As far as Champions League goes and all this, it's like we live in this world where people just want to snap their fingers and here's your treble. You got to walk before you can run. Take care of business at home in Italy first, and then we go. And that's just my thoughts. If he's available, he immediately takes it. Outside of that, Tudor could have a shot at being one of the best options available. Does Gasperini's CV surpass Tudor's? Yes, it would surpass him. But I still don't have this confidence in Gasperini being considered amongst like a top guy. I don't know why. I just can't bring myself to feeling that. Is that unfair of me, Lex?
No, I don't think it's unfair of you. I feel like it just kind of feels like they don't align, Gasperini in the club right now. Gasperini at Juve, for me, feels like it doesn't align. And I think maybe management is concerned to make a mistake again, which is why they're trying to opt for a safer option or someone that's more familiar with the club, as in Conte and Tudor, as the two main options going forward. So yeah, I don't think that's a mistake necessarily.
Yeah. Paolo, what do you think? Is Gasp like considered one of the top guys if he's available?
I don't know if he's a top guy either. He's done well, though. He's good with young people. He does have some Juve roots. He is different from what we've had. He has succeeded. He can put together a good lineup. He can have some young players woven in there. He'll have an attacking game, so we will be scoring more. We'll get Coop going again. I think there's options with him. I'm not a fan of his. He's a bit dramatic and he cries a lot and he points fingers and fusses and whatever, but his personality is a bit painful. But drama and Juve is not drama and Juve goes together. So whether it's Gas or Conte freaking out, whoever it is, there's going to be some kind of action from the sidelines. And I would give Gas a chance only because I think he's kind of proven himself, and I think he would bring a new dynamic offensively for sure.
Yeah.
And I find that interesting. I find it curious, but
yeah. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. We got to take care of business, though. Big one today against Roma. Of course, we're going to get there, everybody. As far as coaches, though, that was kind of the rumors around the future. As far as the old, well, Paolo, we haven't had you on since Motta got the axe there. Thiago Motta, okay, got the axe there. But
yeah.
He finally breaks the silence. He breaks the silence and... well, we heard what he had to say. Juve should have given me more time. I absolutely had a great relationship with the players. Mattia Perin wasted no time to put out a little post. You know, you are the artisan of your own future as a man. It's just PR nonsense for me. It doesn't change absolutely anything. People are saying, oh, he's got no accountability, no nothing. That is just a man trying to save face before the job hunt begins for him. And that's the only way I looked at it. But there's no way you could say the things he said with actually being serious. It was a disaster. You know, he claimed this team was 1 point away from top 4 when I got sacked. And that was the objective from the start of the season. We were decimated by injuries, something he said he'd never make alibis for because every team goes through injuries. It was just a sob story that I really don't have the stomach for. The bottom line was the place was a complete disaster and mess, and everyone could see it. But again, PR nonsense. Anything to take out of the words other than exactly that, just complete PR nonsense, Paolo?
You're right. You're exactly right. He is getting himself set up to try and get another job to look good. I don't necessarily believe what he says. Only him and the players and management truly know what happened behind the scenes. I don't miss not hearing him anymore. Like those post-game conferences were painful, so I don't miss any of that. Yeah. Ugh.
To claim that you needed, like, you should have been given more time based on what we were seeing is actually wild to me. Because it's like, what do we need? 3 years to start a project? I even hate the word project at Juve, but wild. Lex, anything to take out of those words?
No, not really, honestly.
Yeah.
I think you put out a tweet about this, Berto, that all the players that didn't wish him thank you for his time at the club spoke louder than whatever words he came up with in this like tell-all conversation he had. It was like I was like, what is this? Like a YouTube hear me out video? Like, what is this? I was really confused by that random interview that he gave, and just for some reason felt like just spewing his side of the story. I felt like it just would have been better if he had just not said anything, honestly. But like you said, I can see that being like a PR way to try and set himself up well for a potential new coaching position, especially amidst all of the rumors. There was a lot, being said. But
I mean, it could just also be like this level of being oblivious that might actually fall to him, which would actually make sense because there was no consistency in the words that he gave us and fed us and what we saw, especially when it came to meritocracy across the lineup, right? There was no consistency. There was no truth to that. So I feel like to a level, some call him a narcissist. The guy might just be oblivious. Like, I don't know. He might be in his own little bubble, his own little world, and not actually realize what the hell's going on. But nonetheless, goodbye. And we're off with Tudor now. And Tudor's got a big test today against Roma. As far as Tudor, he's making some changes, and we're going to talk about those changes. Koopmeiners was one of them in the news and everything, but we still got a little bit in the rumor mill with Sandro Tonali. So, English media finally jumps on it, claiming that, yeah, the interest is legit. There have been several discussions underway. We've heard a lot of different numbers, big numbers out there. The key, apparently, to all of this will be Douglas Luiz and the interest that Newcastle has in him. But we also heard about Duchan's name coming up. We also heard that maybe, just maybe, a little bit of assistance with a certain player called Lloyd Kelly might actually help, open things up a little bit better. But we know, if we want to talk about Tonali, you can't even have a discussion without top four. So while media paints all this picture about these possibilities, all this, nothing happens without top four. Absolutely nothing. Elkan was stressing for a while before Motta got the axe. But he comes out and puts a bond in there. Puts a bond that covers Motta if he doesn't find a job next season, whatever, next 2 seasons, we pay out in full. He's got that covered. Has the ability to cover us for Champions League too. That protects guys like Kenan Yildiz. We still might have to make a big sale. Cambiasso, now all of a sudden different change of tune from his agent. Big shift. Now all of a sudden we are his Real Madrid again. We are Cambiasso's Real Madrid again. Because he has always, according to his agent, wanted to remain at Juve. That was always the intent. Might have been the intent. Might have been the Motta situation. Cambiasso was always rumored at the forefront with that, as being one of the players having major rift there. There's going to be a lot of interesting little pieces to see where they fall in line. But Scanavino given full control by Elkan. And now we get all these rumors about Elkan wanting an Ital Juve. And he's looking at guys like Lorenzo Luca. He's looking at Gomuzzo. He's looking at Orsolini, etc. I will believe it when I see it. I still think all these guys, and even Scanavino, has blood on his hands for everything that's kind of happened right now. And I feel like there's a bit of a front being put on by Elkan, personally, because he's starting to feel the heat. There's been a major shift in the focus from the fan base as to where we're sending that heat and where it's transmitting. And clubs like Man U and Milan don't fall, apart, so to speak, because of a coach or a sporting director over and over and over. You start to see where the problem lies. For me, the problem is above Motta, above Giuntoli. And I said, if we get rid of Motta, I want to see a true management team established. Giving Scanavino full control is not my idea of the fix. What were your immediate thoughts when we heard that Elkan has full trust in this guy and he is full control and he's been the one signing off final on everything? What were your thoughts, you guys? Lex, Paulo, either one of you jump out at this one?
Paulo, go ahead.
Okay. Jeez, man. This year, our club has so many problems, many things going on. It's an absolute disaster. It's a nightmare. After they changed their tune on Motta after a week and got rid of him, like you're saying, Elkan kind of came out and started to try and push some things around and establish his presence and that there is leadership and whatnot. They've been asleep at the wheel. I feel like Giuntoli's been kind of running the running the insane asylum on his own and having a good old time. And then all of a sudden these guys show up after all the noise saying, hey, oh,
Yeah.
no, we're here. We're involved. We care. And they start pressing some buttons and doing some things. I think there's so many things going on that are such a mess. I think once we get past these next 5 or 6 games, whatnot, I think then we'll start to see what's going to happen, because right now it's all just chatter. And this summer and before the Club World Cup or after, we'll start to see exactly what's happening and with who, and that's at all levels. I think right now there's just a lot of smoke and mirrors and chatter.
Yeah. And Lex, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you completely, Paulo. As you mentioned, I feel like it's just a lot of band-aid fixes right now, just getting us to the end of the season. I feel like Juve's almost been doing that and just trying to like self-correct these little issues along the way for a couple seasons now. It would be nice to have somebody come in who's willing to actually take on this project and have some direction, identity. We talk about that a lot when we talk about Juve, but it truly is the case. I feel like, as you mentioned, Elkan pointing out these things kind of out of nowhere now, making his presence known. He was at the game the other day too. It's just probably in response to some of this backlash he's been receiving, as you said, people starting to look higher past beyond the coach when you want to look at where the issues lie in the club. But up until now and until the end of the season, it just feels like a bunch of short-term fixes for a very long-term issue that's been ongoing at the club. So I feel like we just need, like I said, we need some more direction, someone to come in who actually wants to take on this club and make something out of it. Because for right now, it doesn't feel like that's happening.
Yeah, and when you look at this, there's so many layers and there is so much going on that it affects everything. I mean, you're trying to make a coaching selection when is there going to be an upper management change? I mean, giving Scandavino full control counteracts a lot of what everybody else wants to see as a fan base, as we want to see something solid established. We want to see players involved. We are hearing rumors that Chiellini is going to take over the Nedved role, which is a bridge to management and the locker room, which is great. But should it stop there? Scandavino, for me, these guys have blood on their hands. It just, you can't all of a sudden step in and be like, yeah, this was all these guys, Motta and Juventud. That's not good enough. You had the power, and we all saw this coming for months before we even heard from any of these guys, saw any type of action or whatnot. Like, all of you are involved. I don't care. It's just like, it's like they just gave these guys free reign so that they could do something like this and be like, oh yeah, no, this was all them. That's nonsense. And that's not a serious upper management team to just let guys hang themselves like that. That's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit.
Yeah, they're almost complicit by their absence. They need a proper board. They need a complete board. Whether Scandavino's got a vote or an influence on that board, I don't really care. But they need a wider, broader board that's got a long-term vision, got the right people in there. Because there's a lot of decisions that have to be made at all levels, including the coach, of course, and where that's going to go. And then depending on that, what players do you get for what system? And who do you have right now that you can keep or you can use in that system with that coach? I don't see Tonali going anywhere from Newcastle, to be honest. I dug into it last night, and I don't think a slow Louise with injuries is going to be Newcastle's answer to losing a guy like Tonali and the way he plays. I love Tonali, but there's so many questions on so many people, including Tonali, that they have to get a lot of things right, and it starts at the top. And none of this stuff can be sorted out without that strong board put together.
For Newcastle, it's going to be like, who do they want to sacrifice more or less to get their numbers, because they are battling their own PSR there. So it's kind of tough. Like, for them, they got to make a call too. They might be in a situation. That's the only thing that's really opening anything up. I think if all things were considered and they were fine there and didn't have to make any adjustments, we're not even hearing about Tonali whatsoever. It's just that I think the other option they want to keep at all costs. So it's kind of a difficult thing here. But where there's that much smoke, there's usually some there. I believe we're chasing, but we might be spending time on something that's not going to amount to much, especially if we can't take care of business. So I'm going to pump the brakes on the excitement. He would be one I'd love to see joining us. He's already wearing black and white, for God's sakes. Just put the right black and white on, okay? And then we're good. But a lot of interesting stuff's going to come on. And with Agnelli, you know, we hear a lot about him in the background. The Ultras decided to... yeah, it was a pretty chill Thursday night. Everybody was relaxing. I don't know. I was hanging out, watching a movie. It was all good. The Ultras decided it's time to protest. Yeah. No, Agnelli, stay far away from this club. Wow. Okay. It makes sense. Why would you want the guy who kicked you out coming back? Maybe you shouldn't have been scalping tickets and held the club for ransom. I mean, that probably would have been tip number one. And that wasn't all of them. But we all remember the story of what went down. They also put up a banner that said, Agnelli die at the San Siro. I mean, that's probably not going to get you in the good books or get him to bring you back into the stadium. Interesting decision there from their part. Add that to the list of many interesting decisions from the Ultras and the Curva. But Agnelli's return. So, yeah, the amount of rumors behind the scenes. And I remember going months back, and I told you all, wait for mainstream media to get this. Because at the time, I told you that there was a serious push. There is a serious push. Some of them are claiming he's been aiding Elkan even from afar. Some claim that the tether move was him. Some claim that Tudor accepting terms like that came from a little bit of help from Agnelli. Who the hell knows what to believe? It's the truth. We just wait and see. Agnelli, all I'm going to say this. We're talking about Scanavino. We're talking about Elkan. If I'm going to, and I know that I could fight this fight equally as strong for against Agnelli as I could for Agnelli. I could literally have a pretty intense debate for both sides. I'm fine with wherever people stand on this. All I'm going to say is it's as simple as this. If I had to put my trust in any of the guys there now or Agnelli, it would easily be Andrea Agnelli. And that's as simple as it is for me. If that's the option for us, if that's what's going to go down the road, I'd have more faith in him than Scanavino, the Sleeping Panda Bear, or Elkan. 150%. Lex and Paulo, do you agree with that statement?
Absolutely. I think that, you know, with recency bias, maybe near the end of his tenure, people were a little bit frustrated with certain decisions. And I think chasing that Champions League took him a little bit off the rails in terms of direction. But he started just so many things, and he had so much foresight in terms of trying to keep the club, you know, keep up with the game and the way the game has been evolving. And I think that he just has so much passion and love for the club that you can't deny that. And I think that it's really special to have someone, you know, at the top of the club that's like that and that has that much passion. So I feel like I would definitely be welcoming him back in that case. I mean, especially if you see the track record of how we've been doing since he's been gone, I think you would argue that when he was around, it was considerably better, right? So I feel like that's also a major argument in favor of bringing him back. So many successful things he started, from the stadium to the women's team, even like just next like gen. Everything in general. His next gen project, like it makes me sad that it's almost become torn apart since Juventud arrived, and for whatever reasons that may have been, you know, I just think that he started many important things at the club that it would be great to have him back.
I don't think torn apart, because I think even Agnelli knew that it was smart for everything, for the team moving forward, and even financially. Next Gen's always been a cash cow. Like that's, and I've told people, like, there's a big misinterpretation of how they see that, because we were hearing things like, oh yeah, we want to integrate 8 of these guys a year. If you want to be a stepping stone, but not if you're a legit serious club. Only guys that are elite like Yildiz should probably be making up, and some of your fringe players, an Imbangula, etc., Savona, when you need some help. But for the most part, it's a quick and pure capital gain way to just make money and keep steady income coming in. It's genius from that point. And it's also genius because it gives these guys that you're scouting a place to go that isn't far removed from your first team to get a serious shot. And that's been the big allure. Now you see more and more teams coming up with it. It's going to be interesting to see. But we're still stockpiling talent. We had a CB, a Swedish Bosnian center back, come in. He was at Continasa last week. They've got eyes on like 3 that have I think 10 European clubs after them right now. So they're still not stopping stockpiling talent. I always said the interesting thing to be was seeing if Tognozzi, the guy who left that was running all the scouting, pulled all those guys in. Huijsen, Yildiz, Sule, Barnechea, etc. He pulled them all in. It was going to be interesting to see how many of these guys we still bring in his absence, but we've remained pretty consistent at bringing in good, solid young talent, so I still have faith in that. But you're so spot on about the visionary part about Agnelli. That is probably going to be lacking the most, and I'd love to see him return and not be the face of the club, but have that visionary ability to be there with a strong upper management team still in place that had guys that could speak to the maybe it is Del Piero, and you've got Chiellini involved, etc. But there's a lot that believe Agnelli coming in takes you away from guys like Del Piero and guys like Conte. And just to add to all this smoke, everybody, there's a lot of rumblings that Conte would still come with Agnelli and that there is no beef there and there hasn't been there for a long time. But Del Piero, I don't know. I heard Del Piero got the call not long ago from Elkan. I don't believe it. And I'm waiting for more people to kind of chime in there. But the underground world of rumors is wild. Paolo, anything to add on this whole Agnelli thing?
Yeah, Juve is always a target. Everybody in Serie A waits for Juve to appear, and then they start throwing tomatoes at us. We're always going to be the target no matter what. I think it's a bunch of BS. Get Agnelli back. He was fantastic. He's probably sobered up a bit and ready to do it again, except maybe he's learned his lessons as well. And I'll say to all of Serie A, the first people who haven't sinned, throw the first stone. You know what I mean? Like, this is what it is. I want that prodigal son to come home. There's a place at the dinner table. Come on home and get back to business. Let's go, man. Come on.
God damn it. I'm in. All right, Paolo. That is fantastic delivery. I like it. All right. Now, with that, we got to get to business. I do want to bring up one last thing. I want to ask you the question because out of all of Motta's blubbering there, he said that the biggest mistake was Hans Nicolucci Caviglia. Agree? Disagree that Hans Nicolucci Caviglia was the biggest mistake? And if not, what is your opinion of the biggest mistake made? Paolo?
I still miss Dean Huijsen. I understand that he wanted to move on, that he was very confident in that he needed to be with a big club and it had to be now. He had to be a starter. He was ready. He wanted it. He was a bit bossy. But I think he's a fantastic defender. We could have used him. I don't think was it last year when I think we were at a point where we're right close to Inter and we played Inter, and I think it was mid-season, and Hans was in there and he had a lot. He messed up a lot, and then you didn't see much of him after that. I feel bad for the kid. I don't think he was the biggest mistake, but like Motta, I think you still have to look at Giuntoli, and he didn't ask for a lot for some of these players. I think he could have gotten more. Now you're hearing Bangala for maybe 20, 15. My biggest mistake was moving them so easily and not getting enough for them. So it's not Nico. It's the young people in general. I think we're a bit mishandled.
All right. Lex, what was the biggest mistake?
Well, for the Hans statement, I think Luca really appreciated that one. I think he felt very validated by Motta making that statement. If you don't know, he's a huge fan of Hans. I don't think I would call it the biggest mistake. I felt like, I don't know, maybe it kind of just brought out more of the delusion that Motta seems to be having when he said that. I thought, okay, that's a little bit odd to say, because I would probably point to, I mean, geez, I mean, depends on your opinion. My opinion, there's quite a few. From, as you pointed out, Paulo Hoysen is a great one, a good example. Fagioli is a massive example for me. I felt like he was underutilized by Motta in general when we could have used him a lot. Miretti, but he's angling to perhaps most likely make a return, to my understanding. Yeah, like I said, there's quite a few. I feel like the Keane one didn't age well, but you can't fault them for it because of his stats last season. And the Chiesa one has been an interesting one because he just, for whatever reason, is not panning out at Liverpool. So, yeah, I mean, overall, like I said, I understand that these guys generate income plus Valenza. In my opinion, I felt like getting rid of them, the replacements weren't adequate and have been now come at a greater cost than what we would have had if we just kept those guys, in my opinion. But like I said, depends on your opinion on what you thought of Giuntoli and those changes that he made. But maybe biggest loss for me would be Fagioli.
Yeah. I can't, at the beginning of the season, go back to that point in time and be like, yeah, no, we can't let Hans Nicolucci Caviglia go. He's doing very well. He's having a good season, but we have to be realistic. Nobody anticipated Luiz not being able to stay fit at all throughout an entire season. You didn't anticipate Koopmeiners going from one of the top midfielders for 3 years running to being one of the worst midfielders in a season. It's like you just don't anticipate that. With Thuram coming in as well, with Locatelli there, Fagioli still around, it's like it didn't make any sense. So to call that the biggest mistake, no. The funny thing to me is the guy claiming what the biggest mistake is actually was the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake was fucking Thiago Motta, for God's sakes. That was the biggest mistake. We pushed away a team captain, regardless if he had to play minutes or not. We pushed away Fagioli for nothing. And that's what really pissed me off, is because it was nearing the end. You were talking about possibly getting to a point where you might have to get rid of this coach, and then you make a move like that on Fagioli. Was just ridiculous to me. And that's why these clowns like Scanavino and even Giuntoli's got blood on his hands for that, because that's just nonsense. We were staring down the barrel of potentially having to get rid of this Thiago Motta for so much time leading up to that, and you still continue to push guys away. So the biggest mistake was Motta. All right. Now, enter Tudor. After the win against Genoa. A lot of fans, like I said, mixed reviews on that game. Some said, I still don't see much. All right. And there's not this high level of belief in him or whatnot. He's still got to tweak things. He's got to get better. He said the serious work begins now. J Medical is probably licking their chops because this guy's been running double training sessions. Okay. He's been running double training. I'm like, whoa, easy. But some believe that, hey, you know what? Doing that maybe will help with the muscular injuries because maybe they're just not fit enough. I don't really know. Like, everyone's kind of at wit's end right now. We haven't lost anybody while Tudor's been running these double training sessions to muscular issues, so that's a good thing. Knock on wood too. Okay. They also got a chance to get out there and have a team dinner at Benucci's restaurant. I heard the food's 50-50. Take it easy, but it's good to see the team kind of bonding, kind of trying to bring back some good vibes, but all that matters is what happens on the pitch. We've got Roma today, and we got a big one. Tudor made some decisions. We're going to get to that in a bit, okay? First, let's kick things off with Roma, all right? So we know that Dybala is out, injured, so he is done. And you know what? Yeah, advantage Juve there. We're looking at Pellegrini, Sule, Dolbeck up top. When you go to the back, guys, preliminary day. Suarez started a little tradition, preliminary day. Without a doubt, we all know exactly where that's going. Okay? So Svilar's the goalkeeper. You look across that back line, Indica, Hummels. Mancini is the only choice, but there is another one, Paredes. So take your pick there, but those are your two prime candidates for the preliminary day. I will always... Oh, this is so tough because Paredes is such a mutt. But Mancini, I absolutely despise this guy. I'm going with Mancini. Okay, he gets a preliminary day. But that is what they're going to shape up with. 3-4-2-1. They've been in great form. We heard the numbers there. You know, a crazy run of goals versus conceded, 20... Was it 20? Close to 26 or something goals with like 6 or 7 conceded. Bunch of clean sheets. They got a little fortunate against Lecce there. I don't know. Even with that form, I feel good going into this game today. And I'm looking at that lineup, and I'm just like, yeah, this is... Kone is... I actually like Kone a lot. I think he's a pretty talented player. He's fun to watch. Pellegrini is so damn streaky. You don't know what the hell you're going to get with there, but for a while now, it's been pretty subpar. Sule, I'm not worried about him hurting us. Dolbeck, I'm not really concerned. I don't have a lot of concern looking at this lineup. Is that just me? Like, their form is great, but I look at this lineup and I'm like, I don't really see anything to be concerned about. Lex? Paulo?
I would say, like, yeah, good assessment of the lineup, absolutely. The concerns for me would probably just be Angelino, even though he had a really terrible game last game. I don't know what, I'd never seen him play like that before. He's a concern for me just for his ability. I think he's fantastic. I feel like he's probably one of the most underrated players in the league right now in terms of his attacking power, and yeah, a lot of their play runs through him. Usually Dybala would switch play to Angelino, and that was how they amounted a lot of their attacks. And then Manu Kone, just like we said, being a fantastic midfielder. And then, you know, Paredes and Mancini maybe ruffling some feathers. But I feel like beyond that, as you mentioned, without Dybala there, I do have less concern for their attack. Yeah. Looking at that front three, yeah, not as concerned.
Paulo, what do you think?
I think it's interesting that they're playing so well. They're in such good form, and you can look at the lineup and wonder how it's happening. I think that's a lot of credit to what Ranieri's done there.
Yeah.
I'm concerned that they're playing well. This whole Motta nonsense with his interview has done one thing, and it's really put the spotlight back on the players. They kind of had the benefit of the doubt, I think, when Motta was let go. But it's really up to them now. I think all this could and should have happened a lot earlier. But we're not in great form, and these guys are. So I'm really concerned. We'll see what Tudor ball looks like, the Tudorminator. We'll see how he does. So I'm worried. I'm worried because we're not playing great, and I don't know what we're going to look like, and these guys are. So I'm kind of concerned.
Yeah, I got a lot of mixed feelings. I mean, we are going to get to Juve's lineup, and then I'll get to my feelings overall. Ranieri's doing a great job. No doubt about it. He's doing a really, really good job. And you hit the nail on the head. If you're looking at this lineup and you're like, yeah, I'm not really that scared, but yet you look at their record in 2025 and it's fantastic. He's doing a good job. Obviously, Dybala there for a brunt of it, which makes a big, big difference on this team. I don't see Sule as being able to carry that load, so to speak, to the extent of Paulo. It won't happen. And I'm comfortable in saying that. In terms for us, well, this is what Tudor's going to go with. And One of the things that came out of this week, obviously, we had the double training sessions. I have question marks around that. Are we going to be a little gassed? Because we're going into their house. That's one thing you could bank on. That stadium's going to be absolutely rocking. And it is a difficult, difficult place to walk into. Can't be understated. So that, their form is going to be, yeah, kind of an advantage to them. For us, the double training sessions is where I have question marks. Are guys going to be full of the energy we're going to need to combat that? Because if you want to start this game kind of complacent, maybe try to weather a storm, so to speak, I think that's a bad plan. I think you want to jump on them. I think you want to kind of get after them and press them and make them make some mistakes. They seem vulnerable at the back. That's where we need to focus on, is getting that. We saw that in glimpses against Genoa, but some question marks there. For our lineup, I like our lineup. The big change in the projected lineup in the days building up to this moment was that Nico Gonzalez was going to play the outside right again, and now he's slotted forward, and you see Weah in there. I like this lineup. I would still choose to go with Kolo Muani right at the top spearheading this thing, but I understand Tudor wanting to go with Vlahovic as more of the target, but I think that this game will present spaces and opportunities, and if we add a little bit more of a direct approach, kind of like we did against Genoa, would actually put Kolo Muani in better instances to do damage more frequently than it will Vlahovic, because Vlahovic's strength is not necessarily these open space, run at them 1v1 type of situations that could present itself in this game. But I like the lineup. And if I'm looking at this, Weah has been in a good run of form for a while. He deserves to play out there, and he's doing a good job out there. The back line, that is your back line. Kelly's last game out was good against Genoa, so I have no problem with being there as a left center back. Vega in the heart, absolutely. And Kalulu's solid as that right that can add some support moving up. Thuram and Locatelli, that's it. All I want to add, I need to see Thuram push forward a bit more than he did against Genoa. That's it for us. And I like our lineup, and I think we should, I'd like to see us take this thing because I think a win is a must. But what do you guys think about our lineup?
I'll go. I like the lineup. I think it matches up with theirs pretty well. I agree with you, Berto, in terms of having Kolo Muani in that starting role over Dusan. Just because of the spaces that open up, Roma's defense can be extremely porous. I've watched games where kind of feels like sometimes I'm watching Juve's back three. Well, since they've started playing that way, but watching Juve's defense, they just somehow let teams in. I think that Zvilar playing as well as he has been playing has perhaps been saving them, and as well as their goals against record, because otherwise I feel like I could have seen them conceding a lot more goals. So I think Kolo Muani up there would perhaps hurt them a bit more just because of the way he's able to get in and out of tight spaces. I love the movements he makes, gets in behind. But we'll see. Interesting that he wants Dusan up there as a target man. I love the double pivot. Thuram and Locatelli is a great double pivot, I believe, to match theirs. So, yeah, beyond that, I think that it looks like it's a pretty good lineup.
Yeah. And, Paulo, your thoughts?
I'm happy to see three at the back. I think it's the way to go. It's the way to play in today's game. Move more guys forward and have three at the back. So I'm happy about that. But when I look at this, and I'm curious to see what Tudor will bring and what the boys will show up with now that Motta's not a scapegoat for them as well. And I start to seeing stuff like this gets me excited about the three at the back, like I said, but I also start to see how we're trying to put players into this new formation, whether they'll fit or not. These are going to be great questions for the offseason as to who goes where, because I think there's issues with a lot of these positions and the players we have to choose from. But I think Luca might slip behind Thuram a bit, and he might go a bit higher up. We'll see. we'll see. Yeah,
There's
I
a
don't think there's a lot
question.
of choice, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a comment in there about Weston McKennie. So way a right back is fine, but Big Mac didn't look good last week. Big Mac looked gassed, and that's why I'm saying like these doubles. Let's see if it helps them, or maybe we got some more guys looking tired. I'm gonna really be focusing on that match fitness and whatnot. But it was interesting to hear that Tudor came in and didn't like the condition that the players were in. That was kind of a very, very interesting piece that nobody really shined a big light on. And I was like, well, that's kind of concerning if the last guy was supposed to be this intense training regimen and we were losing guys to muscular injuries, but maybe we were losing them to muscular injuries because they weren't fit enough. Like I don't know. And that's the theory, is that Tudor getting them actually into shape, running these doubles, getting them into better condition, maybe cuts down them. I don't know. It's going to be something that I keep tabs on. McKennie did look gassed in the match against Genoa, but we'll see. Koopmeiners, you could see, not on the starting lineup, and the whole thing was that Tudor is doing something that I said should have happened a long time ago, and that's Koopmeiners working from the bench and stop getting force-fed and I still don't think in one of those positions behind the striker is where he should be playing. It should be out of one of the midfields. And maybe when you use him, you go to 3 straight up in the mid and kind of alter things. But this is the right approach and something that should have happened before. And I think it was a major mismanagement by Motta, to be honest, what happened with Koopmeiners. And I'm not blaming it all on him. Koopmeiners obviously has to bear this because the question is very much around him that maybe he can't handle the big price tag that was on him and coming to Juve. That's a legit question to ask right now. But I actually think Tudor's doing the right thing and it had to happen a lot sooner. Do you guys agree or disagree?
I agree with that. I feel like a lot of Juve fans can agree with us that it felt like he was being forced. You're forcing something to work that wasn't working. And yeah, in terms of like the Juve jersey being heavier weight to bear in terms of playing for the club, I think that's definitely a factor. I think he was also just Atalanta's Gasperini tax. Like I think that a lot of those guys are system players, and yeah, beyond that, you have to be very careful. Even though I know he was very convincing where he was playing, but yeah, I think that it's in this type of formation, and I don't think a lot of people would argue against having Luca and Thuram in there instead of Koopmeiners. So should be a good decision.
Yeah. Paolo, what do you think?
Last year when we were trying to get Coop, he wanted to come to Juve, and Gasperini's like, forget it, you're not going anywhere, get on the field. And then Coop's parents wrote a doctor's note saying that Coop's not feeling great and can't play. He's sad. He's confused. And then all of a sudden, Coop's not going out on the field because he's got a doctor's note. And that kind of pushed him along his career path a lot quicker, and he came to us. So what's interesting to me is that Coop's mentality, and I'm a fan of his playability and what he can do. His mentality has been in question before, I guess. And also maybe these double workouts are also not just physical, but a mentality exercise for Tudor, because maybe some of these guys needed to get their shit together a little bit. And so I think he's doing some mental fixing as well as physical fixing right now, Tudor. I think he's probably finding a lot of issues that he has to sort through, and I think a lot of them are mental.
Yeah, and when I talked about issues even Tudor facing, like you've got all these unknowns, right? Vega, there's no certainty as to what's going to happen there. Kolomuani, who the hell knows? Like you've got a striker you're trying to bank on now, kind of try to revive that isn't going to be with us next year. It all seems to be that's a goodbye for Vlahovic. Like this is all shit Tudor's got to deal with while trying to get us home free in that top 4 spot. It's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. So we'll see. But today's going to be a tough one there. It's going to be a tough one for us. Roma, yeah, good form. But let's see what gives. Roma unbeaten in their last 14 Serie A matches. Won their last 7. Kept a clean sheet in 6 of those 7. Juve have only lost one of their last 9 against Roma. And Juve have won only one of their last 5 games against Roma. So a hell of a lot of draws. But something's got to give. It's time for the prediction challenge, everybody. Final score, 2 tiebreakers. Lex, you're up.
Oh, man.
We are all following your lead, so don't fuck up.
I knew this was coming. Somehow I'm still, like, not ready. Okay, wait. I'm going to go with history repeating itself, and I'm going to go with a draw. I think it's going to be a draw. I think it's going to be, let's say, 1-1. 1-1 draw I'm going for. 2 tiebreakers. I see Mancini getting yellow. And
safe bet.
Paredes getting into a fight. Those are my 2 tiebreakers.
Oh, man. Paolo, you're up, man.
Wow. I feel the same way Lex does about this. So she took the 1-1. I think we'll be hard pressed to win a game like this. We haven't won an important game in a long time. It's either going to be boring as heck, like 0-0 and both teams stinking up for a point, or it could get kind of crazy and interesting. I'll go 2-2 to optimistically see both teams get productive, which I don't expect to happen, but I'll say that. We score off a set play, and Yildiz and Gonzalez score.
All right.
Something like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's 0-0. That's not my prediction, though.
Well, everybody. 1-1. 1-1. Until the 89th minute, when all hell breaks loose, they kind of lose their heads. It might be one of those mutts in question, Mancini or Paredes, and Juve capitalizes, and we absolutely lose it, okay? Flip our wigs. Tudor is fist pumping. I've got the kit. The streak remains. It's going to be 2-1, and it's going to be like close to the death that Juve pulls it out. Those double training sessions, the guys off the bench are going to torch. Chico Conceição with your winner. All right? 2-1, Juve. Late winner. That's my call. Because forget Roma, forget their good form and whatever. Yeah, we're going in there. I love it. Let's get ready for battle today. Will Tudor have these guys ready? Let's see. There's some Storm the Barn questions about Tudor too, but we're going to have some fun now with Storm the Barn. I have a feeling we're going to get it done. It won't be pretty. It's not going to be this big boost that some are looking for from game 1 against Genoa to now Roma. It ain't going to be pretty. It's going to be a grind, but Tudor will have these guys ready to grind it out and ready to go to battle, go to war, so to speak, and we'll see. We'll see how things play out, but I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm just not convinced by anyone in Serie A. I got like all year I haven't been convinced. Like the records, the form, like all these, I'm like, I don't know. I don't see it. Nobody is like, oh yeah, this team, like, I'm so Atalanta, Lazio, Fiorentina, even Inter. Great result yesterday. Oh yes. Fantastic. Like nobody convinces me. Napoli, like, that's just the way I felt all year. You could go into any game, and that's what's pissed me off the most, is because our shortcomings are literally our shortcomings. Mm-hmm. We didn't go into a game and get blasted, not until these past 2 with Motta when he should have been gone, okay? Atalanta and Fiorentina, but up until that point, nobody's really convinced me. So why the hell should I be convinced by Roma? Prove it to me. Prove it to me today. Hopefully you don't, though. Hopefully Tudor and the lads get the job done. We'll see what the feeling's like in the chat here. We got Alex Juve 2-0. Ryan's calling a 1-0 victory. Matt says Ranieri is a wizard. Just needs a longer beard. But yeah. 2-2 draw. Matteo Camisa 2-1 Juve. Got the 1-0 from Matt. The Allegriano win for us. 2-1 Roma. I really don't like the... Damn it, RB. Damn it, RB. This isn't Venezuela. Oh! Sorry. We brought up the Canada-Venezuela game earlier. We shouldn't have done that. Take it easy. 2-1 for you. Lord Kelly.
Lord Kelly.
Let's go.
The winner.
Wow.
Oh, man.
A header from a corner.
Let's go.
Classic.
I
Who's
love
taking
it.
our set pieces?
There's a lot.
Does
Who's
Coop-
taking the set pieces?
Yeah, because Coop's got a really good foot for set pieces, corners, and whatever. So who's going to do it? Is it going to be Yildiz, I guess?
Probably Yildiz on corners.
I would expect it to be Yildiz. And the rest, from range, it's probably going to be Locatelli. Anywhere close and corners will be Yildiz.
You don't think Duchamp on free kicks? Like close range free kicks?
I said anything far range will be Loca.
You said close range.
Anything close, I'm expecting Yildiz. And then, Vlahovic will probably get in there for set free kicks. I'd like to see Yildiz take a free kick too, though. If it's favored to a right footer, then I'd like to see him step up and maybe try and take one. Be interesting to see. Let's see. But yeah, Yildiz I would expect. Now, even if Tudor wins every game from now, let's not get all sentimental and keep him just for the sake of it. Look at Man United and Solskjaer. Whatever happens, Tudor can't remain coach. I wouldn't say that he can't remain coach. I said it. He might find himself in a position where he is the best option for us moving forward. He's got the benefit of being here now to show us some of that, right? But I definitely won't say that he absolutely cannot remain. If we have a top elite tier coach available that's in to join, then he can't remain for me. But I wouldn't say he can't remain. Would you say he can't remain, guys?
No, I wouldn't say so either, although I understand that perspective, and it's one that I adopted as well, just because of seeing historically how it's gone. Because caretaking a team as an interim manager is very different than basically launching your own project with the team once you've got the okay, to be in a long-term involvement with the club. It's very different. So I feel like, as you said, Berto, I agree with you in the sense where it just depends who the options realistically are. Like, are you taking back Pioli over Tudor, for example, if that's our only realistic option? So I feel like that also plays a role into it. But I will say I do agree with that in the sense of keeping the interim managers for their tenure and then moving forward in the summer. I do agree with that. But I wouldn't say he can't stay.
Yeah. And Paulo, what do you think about can't remain?
I was excited about the Dominator. Super big game. Yeah, we're going to go kick the ball. Yeah, super game. Shoot, score. Big goals. Lots of goals. Roma, go cry. Cry, Roma. Go cry. So I like Tudor's attitude. We'll see. We'll see.
Tudor as Arnie. I love it. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah,
I got to say...
Alberto.
The knocks would be essentially like what kind of players would we be signing with Tudor? Like, what kind of players are we after? I mean, this short stint is going to show us, like, if all of a sudden Chico's a guy that's on the outs, he's a player I like. I want us to retain. Like, I want us to keep him. I want to keep Chico. If if we're going very robust, very strong lineups all the time, in and out, he's also faded quick. He's had good stimulus, but he's faded fast at everywhere he's gone. He hasn't held a job very long. There's a lot of unknown with Tudor there, and that's why I could see a lot of people like, the sentimental aspect. We love seeing Tudor on the sideline. But Lex is spot on with caretaking, is not the same beast. So that's why I just say we wait and see. If you show me elite guys that are ready, that are willing to come in, there's a couple names I would definitely instantly be like, yeah, let's go this route. So let's see. Lex, are the one or two Alex, what are we? Chopped liver over here? Just Lex. Just straight up Lex. Are the one or two Italian strikers doing good in Serie B that you like and their names are not in the media yet? A good backup 9. So are there any good Italian strikers in Serie B that you like that aren't catching attention yet?
I would say like the first one that comes to mind, although he does have media attention, was Esposito, but he's unfortunately already coded. So he's already wrapped up in that contract there, and it's unfortunate because I really think he's fantastic. Like you said, young Italian striker. He's exploding in Serie B right now with Spezia. So he would have been my first choice. Beyond that, I don't have too many right now, but I will get back to you, Alex, on that. But thank you for the question. But
and it's because you are obviously, I'm not diving into the depths of Serie B, but yes, Lex is very much into it. It's awesome. I have a problem with people still calling some guys youngsters. Hans Nicolucci Cavilla is only 2 years younger than Locatelli, and Cambiasso is the same age as Hans Nicolucci Cavilla. When does a player stop being a youngster? For me, it takes a long time, my friend, because I am old. All right, so I will always look at these guys as youngsters, but in reality, I honestly feel like sometimes they don't actually factor in age. I don't think a lot of people actually dive into that a lot of the time. Like Gatti just came to us, and was already older, and he looks older too, but it was just like you expect, he's just hitting the scene for us, he's got to be young. No, that's not always the case, right? But man, I tell you, when you stop considering them a youngster, like, I don't know, 23 probably? I'd say 24, 25, 20, younger. 22, 23 is probably 22.
When you're 22 or 23 and you're a pro player, I think you're probably, you probably know what you got at that point, and then you're starting to enter your best years. So I think a youngster should be 17, 18, maybe 17, 18, 19 as a youngster for me.
I would say like it's definitely debatable. I think I agree with like the 22 maybe age range being the cutoff, but I do think that like the whole youngster phenomenon is like really over exaggerated in football. I think a lot of players, it's more normal to peak later. I mean, usually what's looked at as prime years is like 27. I think that you just gain maturity as a player and with your decision making. And I don't know, like we've just seen some players that just have late peaks or just, develop and come into their own as a player later on in their careers and in their life. So I don't know, I would say like maybe 22, but I wouldn't definitely count out a player that hasn't made it yet at that point. Because we've seen countless examples of players like, it reminds me of that tweet that went viral. It was like, it's 30 too late to lock in. And then there was like Papu Gomez and Ilicic, they basically kick-started at that age. Like that's when they basically exploded onto the scene at Atalanta. So I would say like, I don't know, never count anybody out, but.
I don't know. The youngster thing, I mean, it's got to stop at a point where you're calling a guy a youngster, though. I mean, I don't know. 21 probably maybe even is now, after hearing Paulo speak, maybe 19, 20. I'll still go to 20. I don't know. It also depends on the player we're talking about, too. Maybe where they come. I don't know. But whatever you call them, I mean, does it really matter at the end of the day? I mean, I think what it is people associate when you you give more leash to someone you see as a youngster. That's what it is. That's what we're talking about here. So when people talk about Hans Nicolucci Caviglia, and I think this is where Forza U is getting to, and it's like, well, he's a youngster. We should have given him a fair shot, whatever. Well, he's not really a youngster.
Yeah.
You know, he could feel like that to us because he's a player that came through our ranks, went out on loans, got one season to be amongst the ranks with the senior side, and did work. So he's got that youngster feel to us, but he really isn't a youngster. And it's like that leash that fans give that like, oh, he didn't get a fair shake. He's a youngster. It's like, well, he's not a youngster anymore. The time passed. It is what it is. It's always going to kind of be like that with certain guys. But when does it stop? Well, let's set an age in stone today on the show. Okay?
The official age.
Nobody older than 20 will ever be referred to as a youngster anymore moving forward, period. So Yildiz is almost done. Or did he turn 20? I don't think he's turned 20 yet.
I don't know. I can look it up.
That's fading. That's fading fast. RB comps. If Vlahovic plays a poor game today and Tudor leaves him on, I am going to be so pissed off. And it will confirm to me that Tudor will be like Motta in terms of forcing players in. There's an interesting thing, like theory around this, that Kolo Muani stands the club nothing. And it's whether or not they're going to bring him in right now, which is in serious jeopardy, and nothing even comes of it without top four. And then there's Vlahovic, who you're actively going to try to move and bringing up his value and everything. And there's this theory that it's like, well, this is where we need to be pushing and getting. Maybe that Tudor's decision there is kind of being influenced. We talked about that problem earlier. It's kind of a tough one here, but Kolo Muani should have definitely came in the last game at some point. And Tudor and Vlahovic towards the end was severely struggling. And it was like, just get him off. Like, there was no reason to keep him on there. Tactically, anything like that, it's just, there was no reason. This will be an interesting storyline to kind of follow, to see. Is he influenced? Maybe. Maybe not. Tudor's always talked highly of Vlahovic, so maybe it's just what he sees and what he feels. I don't know. I don't really have much to say, but I don't want to see guys abandoned. I don't want to see Kolo Muani abandoned. I don't want to see Chico Conceição abandoned. I'm going to start there and just, you know, as you guys all heard, I want to keep Chico Conceição. Interesting report with him this week because Mirko Di Natale claims that the deal's already done because of Jorge Mendes' agreement with Juve, and that Juve is going to buy him. And they said, Mirko says that's done as far as everything he knows. And they're going to pick him up on the release clause of 30 million. But he says maybe if he's not in favor, it doesn't stop Juve from selling him. I want to see him stay. I don't want to see guys abandoned. Paulo, do you agree when it comes to these guys? Like, we shouldn't just ditch them no matter what the plans are. We need all hands on deck, man.
Yeah, we do. It's strange because when Tudor came in, he gave Vlahovic and Yildiz a full game each. It's almost like he said, all right, you two, you're going to get your full 90 to make up for whatever or to see what you got, that kind of thing. So I think that was the right call. Yildiz is just beautiful. He's such a wonderful player. And I like Dusan too for a lot of reasons, even though he's a headache. We'll see. Koulibaly and Dusan are just different players, right? And when you have this back three, it changes everything above that. And you have those two spots right behind the striker. And now, can Conceição be one of those two? I know Yildiz certainly can. He can almost do anything. But that's what we're going to be finding out is, can Kolo Muani do what Tudor wants to do with this new setup? Can Conceição be that guy who's not just hanging on the sideline, taking on guys? Can he stay inside and move and play make and give and go and link up in the middle? We'll see. And that's part of the challenge too, is with Tudor and going forward with whoever the coach is. What are the players for the system? What's the system? What guys do you have to overhaul and keep or let go or trade up or bring in? And Weah and McKennie, there's a lot of running going up and down that side when you play this system. So we'll see. I hope Kulu does come in, but maybe he's got Dusan in there for a reason. And I guess we'll
Yeah.
see, but not for 90.
Yeah. And Lex, what do you think? Shouldn't be abandoning guys like Colo and Chico?
I think, Paulo, you answer that really well. I think it just really depends on who comes in, what style we want to play, what style that coach brings. Who, if we keep Tudor, if we get a new manager, I think that that would play a massive role because managers need players of certain styles and certain formations suit certain players better. Like realistically, if we're not playing more of a 4-3-3, does Chico really fit in anywhere else other than an out and out winger? I think those are all questions that come with play style and what the plans are going forward.
Yeah. I think Tudor might be going about things like it just might be looking at a little bit. I don't know what the word is, but like this target guy up at the top, I think you gain more in somebody that's more well-rounded because then it actually opens up a bigger variety for your attack.
Yeah.
Because essentially you don't have just one guy up top and it could be rotating. Like if you threw Kolo Muani up at the top, we have question marks about Chico Conceição, whether he could play in one of those roles next to Yildiz. But I absolutely think he could, because if you had a guy up top that carried more versatility, say he drops back, say you don't play as a top one, say it's almost like a false nine type style, that gives Yildiz the ability to be a guy taking the space and attacking the space if that player shows, drops around, or then pops up as a winger, so to speak. Conceição, same thing. If anything, it provides freedom. He might be going about it a little bit different and maybe actually hindering his whole plan or setup from growing. Because if you use Kolo Muani, who's got way more versatility, that can bring you more options, it actually allows you to do more with the other guys, like Yildiz, like Conceição, like even Nico Gonzalez, actually, who we're going to see in there today. If anything, you can have all of these guys rotating almost fluidly, would be actually a hell of a lot tougher for a defense to have to deal with. If you had guys in constant movement and rotation and fluidity amongst them, and you have that ability with these guys, but Vlahovic, it ends there because that becomes a strict target.
I think Motta tried to move guys around a lot. It didn't quite work out. I don't disagree with you, Bert, but I think Tudor's probably trying to keep things simple, and this is something me and you wanted all year, was simplifying, right? And if he's trying to keep things...
I think Motta moved around too much at the back. Up front, his wingers were plastered to flanks. And whether you had Kolo Muani or Vlahovic, they occupied the middle, and they were on islands. Like, it's different. This is a lot more narrow. You've got everything a lot more narrow now, and it would be different. But simplifying at the back, we conceded so much with Motta because of all the movement that was happening at the back. Kalulu was like going out getting something from the concession half the time on all the goals we were conceding. The back line was a mess. Locatelli was like the last man back almost all the time. It's like that's where he was moving around way too much. But up top, I think it was pretty stagnant.
Well, I think what I probably wanted to say, and I'm not disagreeing with you on any of that, is that I think Tudor wants to simplify and keep things physical, I suppose. Maybe he sees Dusan as more of a physical presence. He wants to go direct. He wants to be physical. What that means for Conceição, I don't know. What it means for Kolo Muani, who is a little more of a drifter left and right, a little more of a mobile player, I think, in that way.
Yeah.
Just to chime in, I think that's just Tudor ball. Like, I think that type of like robust, strong, physical presence from his players, especially up front, I think that's just in his style. I think that's why we get that from him. Because I agree with you, Berto. It's more my style personally, and I think is well suited to some of these other players as well. Like, I love a technical striker, and that the players are able to interchange and flow through their roles up front. But as you mentioned, realistically, we're not getting that with Dusan, and we may not also be getting that with Tudor ball either.
It's got to change, right? If you're going to have Vlahovic in, then it's got to be you're sending balls in, like you're giving him delivery. It can't be the same for everything. So one of the things Tudor said is, I'm going to do something that suits the guys. Well, guess what? For a lot of game one against Genoa, it didn't suit Vlahovic because we were playing balls direct and we were going, and he's not that guy that's going to do that. But Koopmeiners will torch there. Vlahovic needs some service. He needs setup. We're going to have to play a crossing game, right? If you're looking at playing direct, sending balls up flanks, running at defenders, it's Colo. So if Tudor is going to do what he said he was going to do, which is adapt to the players he has, the game has to shift based on who's on there. Well, we'll see, because Koopmeiners didn't even get in against Genoa. So let's see if things change and if he even gets in there. Tudor red carded today. Might see him throw a right hook at Mancini today. Harking back to his Lazio coaching days. Oh my God, man. What I would do to see Tudor slap Paredes or knock about Mancini would be absolutely epic. You know what? Or, oh man, I keep thinking about Theo Hernandez going around Inzaghi on that overlap, and I would have just went straight through him. My God. Unbelievable. Coaches are hilarious, though. Mourinho. See the latest with Mourinho there? The nose grab? That was classic. Friggin' Mourinho. Should Juve consider placing tariffs on Fiorentina? Holy, we're going Trump's ways. Tariffs on Fiorentina, given that they keep screwing us with trade. Listen, they're pretty tight. They're in a dogfight. Maybe Fagioli comes back. Maybe, just maybe, he comes back. Maybe they don't reach Europe. Let's see. We got to stop picking up their guys, though, because it ain't working out. For us. I hate the Mercato talks at this period of time. We must focus on league, and we do not know who will coach the team next season. So what would it bring to talk Mercato without having a coach? Well, it's simple. The rumors are out there. You want the best for your team, and you've got a lot of unknowns. In talking about your current performance of the team, you're in a way already talking about the Mercato. Because if we're talking about the games we're playing now, you're talking about needs. You're talking about what this team needs. Coach, yeah, I mean, that's going to play a part, but make no mistake about it. Either way, we brought in coaches when already having teams there. You can't have one without the other. I mean, if you're talking performance, naturally it's going to come to Mercato as well. Especially if you're having seasons like we have over the past 4. If things were great, that's when the Mercato talks stop. Hey, we're winning Scudetti? Okay. And did they stop at that point in the 9-year run? No. Because you want more. Always want more. Never remain satisfied. Treble. When we get treble, I'll probably stop talking Mercato. Because I'll be partying probably for that one till the end of the time. Okay? Let's go with that. Would you want Platini as president? Scanavino and Chiellini taking care of business side, and Buffon as team manager to be the link between club and team. Do you want Platini? Paolo, you want Platini?
I'm not sure. We have a lot of vacancies and we have a lot of jobs that haven't even been invented yet at that management level. I love Platini as a player. What a class act. What a wonderful, wonderful player. As president, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Lex, you want Platini?
I agree with you guys. I don't know about that one. All respect to him as a player, but I don't know.
Chris, I'll tell you one thing I do know. Scanavino, Via. See you later. I could tell you that 100%. I'm done with him and his buddy there that can't stay awake. They can go. There is no standard age about that. Look at Modric and Iniesta, very close to age, but they peaked at different times and don't feel like they're in the same generation. George, going back to the age discussion there with that one. We got Trez coming in here. What do you think of Coop getting this amount of heat from media and coaches, but someone who cost 70 million and been crap under 3 different managers is being babied by everyone? Huh. So obviously alluding to Vlahovic. 3 different managers. Has he been babied? I don't know about babied.
I don't know about babied. I feel
But
like
Cope's taken some serious heat. Cope's taken a lot of heat. And rightfully so. I think Motta, we talked about it earlier, a lot of mismanagement there, but there's nowhere to hide for Vlahovic. I mean, the contract was a killer. Would it have been any better if the contract was less? Like, would it have ultimately been better?
Yeah.
You think so,
Certainly.
Paulo?
Yeah.
Lex?
Yeah,
I think
he
wouldn't have taken so much?
I think so. Maybe if there wasn't so much like hype surrounding his signing, so much hope. I think expectation plays a big role in the type of heat a player catches. So I think high expectation is going to result in underperforming often. And, I think it would be hard to argue against the fact that he's essentially not lived up, anywhere near what a lot of our expectations were for him. And being under different managers, I feel like it's definitely time for us to part ways. But I will say, Coop's taken a lot of heat, but I think Vlahovic's taken his part of heat as well.
Yeah. And Paulo, you think the wage would have changed how people acted towards?
Isn't he the highest paid player in Serie A right now? So when you don't have a lot of other striker options, when you have Allegri who had trouble producing goals, it's been tough for Dusan, and he hasn't been helped by the style of play or the striker support, and he's a bit of a drama queen. So, and he's the highest paid player. So there's a lot going on there. But he scored some beauties, man. I know he's missed sitters too, and
the dude's an enigma, man. He's seriously an enigma.
He scored some nice goals though, dude.
It's wild. He'll score shit he's got no business scoring and then just miss something my 5-year-old can bury. Like, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. I don't know if the money changes things. I just feel like there's a ton of expectations on all the guys we sign right across the board, no matter what their price tag is, what their salary is. I mean, you're making a safety net signing in January and everybody's ready to crucify them without even seeing them play. Like, that's literally what it's been like, what it feels like to me anyways. I really don't know if there's that much bearing. I just think it makes it worse, if anything, but I still think it would be there. I still think he would take a lot of heat. In 3 years, I'm shocked that the touch hasn't improved. And I start to wonder, like, what are we working on with guys? Like, what do we do? How does a guy spend this much time at Juve and his touch doesn't improve like one single bit? And there's a lot of question marks that things like this bring to me. But I don't know. It's heading towards an end, and I think it's an end that everybody needs, the club and Vlahovic, for me. So let's see what happens. You should sign Alberto and Lex. Lex and Cam. Alberto, plug and play him any position. That's right. Utility guy. Clutch utility guy. 1 ACL clutch utility guy. All right? That's exactly what Juve needs. RB Comps just hit it on the head. Listen, big one today. I saw questions in there about a watch along. There is a watch along. 20 minutes before kickoff, we're going to be rocking it, okay? I'm hyped up for this game. I told you I expect it to be tight, hard fought, but we'll win it in the end in dramatic fashion, and I will be stoked, all right? But, the question marks, they're not going to end around this team from here on out. We got a big push coming for top 4. Hopefully everyone is on board back at Tudor and puts everything they have into these matches. Let's see what's gonna hold up. Roma, this incredible 2025 run that they're on, or that new coach bump, as they like to call it nowadays, the kids. the kids out there, those youngsters. New coach bump. What's going to give today? Let's see, everybody. Alex Juve believes in the power of this pink kit. I got to be honest, I've never liked this kit, you two. I've never liked this kit. Paulo, I think it's one of your favorites, you said.
I love it. I love pink.
Too.
I love pink. It's one of our original colors, too.
I never liked it, but I tell you, if we never lose again, every time I wear this, I'll wear it until the end of time, everybody. Okay, so let's see. Hopefully it brings us the good luck today. Paulo, Lex, absolute pleasure, as always. Great stuff. Army, you're the best. Drop a like on your way out, and I hope to see you all for the watch along. All right, big one today. Let's give Roma one of these. Ciao, ciao, everybody. We'll reconvene in a few hours. Fino alla fine. Forza Juventus. Let's go, baby.